Dear viewers, today I'm sharing a story that will change how you think about love, sacrifice, and doing what's right when everything is at stake. This is about a young nurse who thought she was just caring for another patient until she discovered a secret that put both their lives in danger. What started as simple medical care turned into something deeper, something that would test every belief she had about trust, love, and courage. Stay with me until the end, because what this nurse did next will leave you speechless. And if stories of real human connection and bravery move you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Let's begin. Her name was Sarah, and she was everything you'd want in a nurse. 20 years old, dedicated, compassionate, with that quiet strength that made patients feel safe just by her presence. She had only been working at Green Valley Hospital for 6 months, but everyone could see she was born for this job. Her brown hair was always pulled back neatly, her uniform spotless, and her calm voice had a way of making even the most anxious patients relax. Sarah followed the rules. She kept professional boundaries. She treated every patient with respect and kindness, but she never let things get personal. That was her way of protecting herself and doing her job properly. But sometimes, life has other plans. Everything changed the day Michael Thompson arrived in room 12. He was 25 years old, brought in with severe chest pains that had the doctors worried. The diagnosis was grim, his heart was failing, and they weren't sure how much time he had left. For most patients facing that kind of news, you'd expect to see fear, anger, maybe desperation. But Michael was different. There was something about him that Sarah couldn't quite figure out. He was too calm for someone who might be dying, too composed, too mysterious. Even in a hospital gown, there was something almost magnetic about him. His dark hair, his steady gaze, the way he carried himself even when he was supposed to be weak and sick. From the first day, Sarah noticed how Michael's eyes would follow her as she made her rounds. Not in the way that made her uncomfortable, but in a way that felt like he was seeing something in her that others missed. He would smile when she checked his vitals, ask about her day, remember little things she mentioned in passing. When she worked late shifts, he would stay awake just to talk with her. Sarah tried to keep things professional, she really did, but Michael made it nearly impossible. There was something in the way he spoke to her, the way he listened when she talked about her dreams and fears. He remembered everything. Every small detail about her life seemed to matter to him. 3 weeks passed like this. 3 weeks of Sarah trying to maintain her professional distance while feeling herself drawn to this patient who seemed to see straight through to her soul. She told herself it was just compassion, just good patient care. But deep down, she knew it was something more. That's when everything started to unravel. It was late one evening when Sarah was finishing her shift. She was updating Michael's medical file when a small piece of paper fluttered to the floor. Her hands trembled as she picked it up and read the words written in Michael's careful handwriting. "Don't trust anyone. My life depends on you. Meet me at midnight, Michael." Her heart started racing. What did this mean? Why would Michael say his life depended on her? Why shouldn't she trust anyone? She looked around the empty hallway, suddenly feeling like someone might be watching her. It was almost midnight already. Sarah stood there holding that note, her mind spinning with questions. Michael was supposed to be dying from heart disease. The doctors had been clear about that. But this note suggested something else entirely, something dangerous. Every instinct told her to report the note to the head nurse or security. That would be the professional thing to do, the safe thing. But something in Michael's words made her hesitate. The desperation she could feel in those few sentences. The way he said his life depended on her. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, Sarah found herself walking toward room 12. The hallway was dimly lit, her footsteps echoing softly against the polished floors. Her rational mind was screaming at her to turn around, to follow protocol, to get help. But her heart was pulling her forward. She pushed open the door to Michael's room and stepped inside. He was sitting up in bed, moonlight streaming through the window and casting shadows across his face. Even in the dim light, she could see the relief in his eyes when he saw her. "You came," he said softly. "Michael, what's going on? What did you mean your life depends on me?" He patted the edge of the bed beside him. "Sit down, please. I need to tell you something, and I don't have much time, Sarah hesitated. This was crossing every professional boundary she had, but something in his voice, something in his eyes, made her sit down on the edge of his bed. "For 3 weeks I've been trying to keep things normal," Michael said, his voice barely above a whisper, "but I can't pretend anymore. Sarah, I need to know something first. Do you feel it too?" "Feel what?" she whispered back, though part of her knew exactly what he meant. This connection between us, this feeling that maybe we were meant to find each other, even in a place like this. Her cheeks flushed. "Michael, I'm your nurse. We can't. Forget about rules for just 1 minute," he said, moving slightly closer. "Tell me the truth. Do you think about me when you go home? Do you look forward to seeing me every day?" Sarah knew she should lie, should deflect, should maintain that professional distance. But looking into his eyes, she couldn't. "Yes," she admitted quietly. "I think about you too. Every second, when I close my eyes, I see your face. When I'm scared about what's happening to me, thinking about you makes me brave." He lifted his hand and gently touched her cheek. "Sarah, I know this is crazy. I know the situation we're in isn't normal, but I think I'm falling in love with you." Her breath caught in her throat. "Michael, I dream about what our life could be like if I get better. Maybe we could go on real dates. Maybe I could take you to see the ocean. Maybe we could build something beautiful together." His eyes were so sincere, so full of hope, despite everything he was facing. Sarah felt herself falling deeper into whatever this was between them. "What if you don't get better?" she asked softly. "Then at least I'll know what love feels like before I go." He leaned closer. "Sarah, will you give me a chance? Will you let yourself feel what I know you're feeling?" Before she could answer, Michael's heart monitor started beeping frantically. His face went pale, and he grabbed his chest, struggling to breathe. "Michael!" Sarah jumped up immediately, her medical training kicking in. She checked his vital signs quickly. His heart rate was erratic. "Dangerous. I'm okay," he managed to say, though his breathing was labored. "It happens sometimes." Sarah helped him lie back down, watching as his heart rate slowly stabilized. But as she was checking him over, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. There were small red marks on his arm that she had never seen before. They looked like needle marks, but they weren't from his IV. These were different, older. "Michael, what are these marks on your arm?" His eyes went wide with fear. "Sarah, listen to me very carefully. I need you to do something for me, but you have to promise to keep it secret." "What is it?" "There's something hidden in my apartment. If something happens to me, you have to find it. It's the only thing that can prove the truth." "What truth?" "Michael, you're scaring me." His voice dropped to an urgent whisper. "Room 12 isn't safe. Some of the doctors here, they aren't who they seem to be." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" "I can't explain everything now, but Sarah, promise me something." "What?" "If I die, don't believe it was natural. And whatever you do, don't let them give me any more injections." At that moment, they heard footsteps in the hallway. Multiple people, walking with purpose. Michael grabbed Sarah's arm. "Someone's coming. Hide! Now!" "Michael, what's going on?" "Just hide, please." Dear viewers, what Sarah was about to witness would change everything she thought she knew about the hospital, about Michael, and about the danger they were both in. But this is only the beginning of their story. Sarah quickly moved behind the curtain just as the door opened. Through a small gap in the fabric, she could see a man in a white coat enter the room. But this wasn't Dr. Johnson, Michael's regular doctor. This person was someone she had never seen before. "Time for your medicine," the man said, his voice cold and unfriendly. "I don't want any more medicine," Michael replied weakly. "I'm afraid that's not your choice." Sarah watched in horror as the strange doctor prepared a syringe filled with clear liquid. Michael tried to resist, but he was too weak from his earlier episode. "Please, I know what you're doing to me," Michael pleaded. The doctor ignored him completely, injecting the medicine directly into Michael's IV line. Within seconds, Michael's eyes started to close against his will. "Sleep well," the doctor said, with a smile that made Sarah's skin crawl. As soon as the man left, Sarah came out from behind the curtain. Michael was unconscious, but something was wrong with his breathing. It was too slow, too shallow. She quickly checked his chart and discovered something that made her hands shake. The medicine the doctor had given him wasn't on his treatment plan. It wasn't even a heart medication. Someone was giving Michael drugs that weren't prescribed for him. Someone was deliberately making him sicker. But why? and who could she trust to help her? As she looked at Michael's peaceful face, Sarah made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. She would protect him. She would find out who was trying to hurt him, and she would make sure whatever Michael needed from her, she would do it. The clock on the wall showed 12:47 in the morning. Sarah sat down in the chair beside Michael's bed and prepared for what would be the longest night of her life. She didn't know that someone was watching her from the hallway, someone who now knew that she had seen too much. Sarah stayed awake all night, checking Michael's breathing every few minutes. The strange medicine had made him very sick, but he was still alive. When morning came, Michael opened his eyes slowly. "Sarah." His voice was barely a whisper. "I'm here," she said, taking his hand. "Michael, we need to talk about what happened last night. You saw him, didn't you? That wasn't your real doctor." "Yes. He gave you something that wasn't on your chart." "Michael, someone is trying to hurt you." "I know. I've known for weeks." "Then why didn't you tell the real doctors? Why didn't you call the police?" Michael's face filled with sadness. "Because I don't know who I can trust. The person trying to kill me works here in this hospital." Sarah felt her stomach drop. "Who is it?" "I'm not sure yet, but I know why they want me dead." He paused, gathering strength. "Sarah, I haven't been completely honest with you." "What do you mean?" "I'm not really sick. My heart is fine. Someone has been poisoning me slowly, making it look like heart disease." "That's impossible. You've been here for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of slow poison, small doses every day, making me weaker and sicker. But I figured it out too late." Sarah felt tears forming in her eyes. "Michael, if you're not really dying, then we can fix this. We can get you help." He shook his head sadly. "It's too late. Last night's injection was different, stronger. I can feel it working through my system. No, I won't let you die." "Sarah, listen to me. I need you to fulfill my last wish. It's the only way to stop them from hurting other people. What do you want me to do?" Michael reached under his pillow and pulled out a small key. "This opens a safety deposit box at City Bank on Main Street, box number 247. Inside, you'll find evidence that proves who's been poisoning me and why. Why don't we just go to the police now? Because the person doing this has powerful friends. The evidence in that box is the only thing that can stop them." Sarah took the key with trembling hands. "What kind of evidence?" "Photos, documents, recordings, everything that proves they've been testing dangerous drugs on patients without permission. I'm not their first victim." Sarah felt sick to her stomach. "They're using patients as test subjects." "Yes, and when patients get too sick or start asking questions, they eliminate them. They make it look natural." "How do you know all this?" Michael's face grew heavy with guilt. "Because I used to work for them." Sarah pulled her hand away in shock. "What?" "I was a researcher for MedTech company. They have a secret contract with this hospital. I helped create some of the drugs they test on patients." "You helped them hurt people?" "I didn't know what they were really doing at first. I thought we were developing medicine to help people. But when I discovered the truth, I tried to quit. That's when they decided I was a problem." Sarah stood up, feeling confused and hurt. "So everything you told me about falling in love with me, was that a lie too?" "No." He tried to reach for her. "Sarah, my feelings for you are the only real thing in this whole nightmare. I meant every word I said. How can I believe you now? Because if I was lying, would I be asking you to risk your life to stop them?" Sarah looked at the key in her hand. "If I do this, what happens to you?" "I probably won't make it through today. The poison is too strong now. Then I'll stay here and protect you." "You can't. They'll kill you too if they know you're involved." Sarah sat back down, taking his hand again. "Michael, I can't just let you die. You're not letting me die. You're helping me save other people's lives. That's all I want now." He reached into his hospital gown and pulled out a folded paper. "There's something else. In that safety deposit box, you'll find a letter. It's for someone very important to me." "Who?" "My sister Emma. She doesn't know I'm here. She doesn't know what I've been involved in. The letter explains everything and tells her I'm sorry." Sarah's heart nearly stopped beating. "Emma? What's her last name?" "Matthews. Emma Matthews. Why?" Sarah couldn't breathe. "Michael, Emma Matthews is my sister." Michael stared at her in complete shock. "That's impossible. She's been living in Paris for the past year. She's my older sister." "Sarah, Emma isn't in Paris. She's been missing for 3 months. That's part of why I tried to quit MedTech. They took her to keep me quiet." The room felt like it was spinning around Sarah. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying your sister is alive, but she's being held prisoner by the same people who are trying to kill me. The evidence in that safety deposit box will prove where she is." Sarah felt like she might faint. "They have Emma." "Yes, and if you don't get that evidence to the police, they'll kill her too." At that moment, they heard footsteps in the hallway again. Multiple people this time. "They're coming," Michael whispered. "You have to go now. I'm not leaving you. If they catch you here, they'll kill us both, and then no one will save Emma." The footsteps were getting closer. Sarah could hear voices. "Go out the window. It's only 1 floor up. You can make it." Sarah kissed his forehead quickly. "I'll come back for you." "No. Promise me you won't come back. Promise me you'll save Emma and stop these people." Tears ran down Sarah's face. "I promise." She climbed out the window just as the door to Michael's room opened. From outside, she could hear voices but couldn't make out the words. Sarah ran to her car and drove straight to Citibank. Her hands shook as she used Michael's key to open safety deposit box 247. Inside, she found hundreds of photos, documents, and a small recording device. The evidence was horrifying. MedTech had been testing dangerous drugs on hospital patients for years. Many had died. At the bottom of the box, she found 2 letters. One was addressed to Emma, explaining everything and apologizing for getting her involved. The other letter was addressed to Sarah herself. With trembling hands, she opened her letter. The words Michael had written made her cry even harder. He had poured his heart out, telling her that meeting her was the best thing that happened to him in this terrible situation. He apologized for lying about being sick, for getting her involved in danger, but he wasn't sorry for falling in love with her. He asked her to save her sister, to forgive him for not being the man she thought he was, and he told her he would love her always. Sarah gathered all the evidence and drove straight to the police station. 2 hours later, officers raided the hospital and arrested 5 people, including the fake doctor who had been poisoning Michael. They also raided MedTech company and found Emma locked in a basement office, alive but terrified. But when Sarah returned to the hospital with the police, Michael was gone. His room was completely empty. The bed was stripped clean, the machines were gone, and there wasn't a single trace that Michael Thompson had ever been there. The nurses on duty claimed he had been transferred to another hospital, but their eyes wouldn't meet Sarah's when they spoke. Their voices were too quick, too rehearsed. Sarah knew the truth. Michael had kept his promise to protect her and Emma, even though it had cost him everything. The next few weeks passed in a blur of police interviews, court hearings, and media attention. The MedTech scandal exploded across every news channel in the country. 5 hospital employees were arrested, including Dr. Richard Hayes, the man Sarah had seen giving Michael that fatal injection. The company's executives were charged with multiple counts of murder, conspiracy, and illegal human experimentation. Emma's recovery was slow but steady. She had been held captive for months, used as leverage to keep Michael silent about what he knew. The reunion between the sisters was both joyful and heartbreaking. Emma was physically unharmed but emotionally shattered. She couldn't understand how she had been caught up in something so evil, how the brother of a man she had never met had sacrificed his life to save hers. Sarah tried to explain Michael to her sister, but how do you describe someone who had touched your soul in just 3 weeks? How do you make someone understand a love that bloomed in the most unlikely place, between a nurse and a patient who was never really dying until the very end? The trial lasted 6 months. Sarah testified about everything she had witnessed that night. She spoke about the fake doctor, the unauthorized injections, the evidence she had found in the safety deposit box. She told the court about Michael's confession, about how he had tried to do the right thing when he discovered what MedTech was really doing. But she never spoke about the love they had shared. That belonged to her alone. The defense lawyers tried to paint Michael as a willing participant who had gotten cold feet. They claimed he was just as guilty as the others, that his change of heart came too late to matter. Sarah watched from the witness stand as they tried to destroy the memory of the man who had given everything to expose their crimes. That's when she found her voice. Michael Thompson was not a villain, she said, her words cutting through the courtroom like a blade. He was a young man who made a mistake, who trusted the wrong people, who believed he was helping to create medicine that would save lives. When he discovered the truth about what was really happening, He risked everything to stop it. She looked directly at the defense attorney. Do you know what it takes to turn against people who have that much power? Do you know what kind of courage it requires to sacrifice your own life to save strangers? Michael could have stayed quiet. He could have taken their money and disappeared. Instead, he chose to fight them, knowing it would probably kill him. Her voice grew stronger with each word. You want to call him a criminal? Fine, but remember this. He died trying to save people he had never met. He died protecting patients who trusted their doctors to heal them, not poison them. If that makes him a criminal, then I wish this world had more criminals like Michael Thompson. The courtroom was silent when she finished. Even the defense attorney looked shaken. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Dr. Hayes received life in prison without parole. The medtech executives got sentences ranging from 20 to 40 years. The hospital was forced to pay millions in settlements to the families of patients who had died during the illegal drug trials. But none of it brought Michael back. Sarah returned to work at a different hospital across town. She couldn't bear to walk those same hallways where she had met him, where she had fallen in love with him, where she had watched him die. Her new colleagues knew her story, of course. Everyone did. She was the nurse who had exposed the medtech conspiracy, the woman who had saved her own sister and countless other potential victims. They treated her with respect, even admiration, but Sarah felt hollow inside. She went through the motions of her job, caring for patients with the same skill and compassion as before. But something vital had been taken from her that night when she climbed out of Michael's window for the last time. Emma tried to help her sister heal. She had started seeing a therapist to deal with her own trauma from the kidnapping. She encouraged Sarah to do the same, to talk to someone about everything she had been through. But Sarah couldn't find the words to explain the depth of her loss. How do you grieve for someone the world sees as a hero, but you remember as the man who made you believe in love? How do you mourn a relationship that lasted only 3 weeks, but felt like it could have lasted forever? 6 months after the trial ended, Sarah made a decision that surprised everyone who knew her. She quit her job at the hospital and enrolled in law school. When Emma asked her why, Sarah's answer was simple. Because there are more companies like MedTech out there. More people like Dr. Hayes who think they can use vulnerable patients as test subjects. Michael gave his life to stop one conspiracy, but that doesn't mean others won't try the same thing. She paused, looking out the window at the city skyline. I want to make sure that what happened to him, what happened to all those patients, never happens again. I want to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. Emma smiled sadly. Michael would be proud of you. I hope so, Sarah whispered. Law school was brutal, but Sarah threw herself into her studies with fierce determination. She specialized in medical law and patient rights. She worked part-time at a legal aid clinic, helping families who suspected their loved ones had been victims of medical malpractice or illegal experimentation. Every case she took felt personal. Every family she helped felt like a small victory for Michael's memory. She became known as a relentless advocate, someone who would never back down from a fight if she believed justice was on her side. 3 years into law school, Sarah received a letter that changed everything. It was from a woman named Patricia Chen, a nurse at a hospital in Seattle. Patricia had read about Sarah's story in a medical journal and reached out because she was seeing something suspicious at her own workplace. Patients are getting sicker instead of better, Patricia wrote. The symptoms don't match their diagnoses. Some of the medications they're receiving aren't in our standard pharmacy. I think someone is testing drugs on them without permission, just like what happened at your hospital. Sarah's hands trembled as she read the letter. It was happening again. Somewhere in Seattle, another conspiracy was unfolding. More innocent patients were being used as test subjects. More families were going to lose their loved ones to corporate greed disguised as medical research. She called Patricia that same evening. The conversation lasted 3 hours. By the end of it, Sarah had made another life-changing decision. She was going to Seattle. Are you sure about this? Emma asked when Sarah told her the plan. You're so close to graduating. You could finish law school and then help them. Sarah shook her head. People are dying right now. I can't wait 2 more years to get a degree. Michael didn't wait. He acted when he saw what was happening, even though it cost him everything. Emma hugged her sister tightly. Then go, but promise me you'll be careful. Promise me you won't take the same risks Michael did. Sarah couldn't make that promise. They both knew it. 2 weeks later, Sarah was on a plane to Seattle, carrying nothing but a suitcase and a burning desire to honor Michael's sacrifice by continuing his fight. She didn't know what she would find there or how dangerous it might be, but she knew she had to try. As the plane lifted off, Sarah pressed her face to the window and watched her city disappear below the clouds. Somewhere down there was the cemetery where Michael was buried, the headstone she visited every week without fail. For the first time in months, she wouldn't be there on Sunday morning with fresh flowers and stories about her week, but she hoped he would understand. She hoped he knew that she was carrying his mission forward, that his last wish was still being fulfilled every day through her work. The flight attendant came by offering drinks and snacks, but Sarah barely noticed. Her mind was already in Seattle, already planning how she would investigate this new conspiracy. She thought about Patricia Chen, the brave nurse who had risked her career to reach out for help. She thought about the unknown patients who were suffering while she sat in this airplane seat. Most of all, she thought about Michael and the promise she had made to him in those final moments before she climbed out his hospital window. She had promised to save Emma. That was done. She had promised to stop the people who were hurting innocent patients. That fight was just beginning. As the plane soared through the night sky toward Seattle, Sarah felt something she hadn't experienced since Michael's death. She felt purpose. She felt hope. She felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. Michael's last wish wasn't just about exposing one conspiracy or saving one sister. His last wish was about protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. It was about standing up to powerful forces that preyed on the vulnerable. It was about making sure that love and compassion would always triumph over greed and cruelty. That wish would take more than one nurse, more than one case, more than one lifetime to fulfill completely. But Sarah was ready to spend whatever time she had left making sure it became reality. Dear viewers, Sarah's story shows us that sometimes the most important promises we make aren't the easy ones. Sometimes love means carrying on someone's mission long after they're gone. What started as one nurse trying to help one patient became a lifelong commitment to protecting others from the same fate.